Hello, and welcome back to A World at War by GMT. As you can see, I'm sitting on the opposite side of the board today, and I have a couple of treasures in front of me here. I've decided that I'm gonna start working on rebuilding a computer. So I originally thought I would just kind of have a plug-and-play solution, but turned out that Windows 11 wouldn't even install on it, and Windows 10 is out of support in 2 years, so there wasn't much point in upgrading just to Windows 10, only to lose out on that. So I wasn't going to bother, spending the money on that. So I just decided to basically start fresh. So I ordered some new components for it, and I gotta say, if there's ever a time to build a computer, right now is actually it. The components are dirt cheap. Like the whole chippocalypse thing that happened during the pandemic, and all the demand that was driven by crypto and people getting into games as part of the pandemic, that's all over. The prices are crazy low. For a tank of gas, you can get a 1 terabyte solid state hard drive, which even 3-4 years ago would have cost you easy $500-600 for a decent one. And I was also able to pick up the current generation Core i5 13th gen, which kind of essentially meets the specification of the 10th gen and 11th gen Core i7s with similar clock speeds, and the thing supposedly rips. So pretty happy with that. Now the only downside is, if you consider it a downside, is it doesn't have integrated graphics, but it's I hate integrated graphics anyway. So anyone who plays games knows that you need a graphics card. And it's easier to play most games if you don't have integrated graphics, because the game doesn't have to pick between drivers, and it just works a lot better. And then the other component that came today is a GTX 3060, RTX 3060, and this puppy cost under $300, if you can believe that. Whereas even a few years ago, pretty much everything in the 3000 series was going for, big money, especially the upper end. I could have gotten a 3070 for an extra $100-150, which would have been going for over $1,000 even 2 years ago. But decided to just go with the 3060. It's ridiculous to build a supercomputer to play glorified board games. I play a flight simulator or two, but I don't care about graphics at all. It's really hard to justify getting the best of the best. Even this, I feel like serious buyer's remorse. So, but I'll be happy when I have a computer to play again. So I'm not going to be playing. And it was a great time to upgrade. I probably wouldn't have gone this route if I hadn't been forced into it. I'm not an early adopter of anything, so it was physically painful to spend even the money I did on this thing. But yeah, I'm looking forward to putting it together and firing it up for the first time. Obviously I had to get a new motherboard, new everything basically. So I keep the case, keep the CD player, and I had already bought a new solid state drive. Like I said, for $50, you can't go wrong. So it's gonna be not the top of the line computer, but the difference between a bottom of the line computer now and what was the mid-range computer of 2020 is like a couple $100. The minimum viable gaming computer is not that much cheaper than a really good gaming computer. which is incredible. I mean, I don't think there's ever been a time like this where you can get probably top of the line performance out of something that costs under $1,000. So it's great. But anyway, back to something that's more analog, less transistors, shall we say, less and or gates, nor gates, not gates. You know, there's no gates of any sort except maybe the gate to Berlin, hopefully sooner rather than later. Because I'm thinking that my first playthrough here, it's going to be very ally-sided because I don't know the tactics. I probably made huge mistakes turn one. Like just the amount of losses I sustained just trying to take Warsaw was ridiculous. I mean, how the hell am I going to get to Moscow if I'm going to take those kind of losses? And I even had the humiliation of the Nazis losing an entire hex because I didn't double stack the line. It's like, those are pretty basic tactics. Like, there's a couple spots here that I should have recognized as potential breakthrough positions. One of them being the hex that got taken, Mannheim. And I should have, planned ahead a little bit, but I never really played the game, so I didn't understand exactly what the fort was going to do for me. I didn't really do any math ahead of time, so if you are going to do it to be safe, you should probably put at least 5 factors onto that hex, so that way, even if they bring a lot of air in, you can handle it. The other option is you could counter air for it. You could put up your own air if you wanted to, but I think that's a bit of a risk because you need that air to quickly invade things. So that's kind of where we are. So to start this turn, we're going to go back to kind of where we left off last time, which was trying to sort out diplomacy, research, all that stuff that we didn't quite, well, I should say I didn't quite understand. Probably the viewers at home might have understood exactly what to do about this kind of stuff, but I did not. There are some historical events that I'm going to read over just to make sure that we are doing what we are supposed to do. So we're now in winter of 1939, and for the European axis, it's completely blank. There's no events. The Russians are allowed to start the Russo-Finnish border war, and I guess that automatically I think we're going to automatically declare that with Finland. So I'll get the Finn units out. We'll fight the winter war and see how that goes. The Soviets aren't really super prepared for that, although their reinforcements are pretty much going to be dedicated to it. So that'll be interesting. We'll see how that goes. The U.S. has a tension level of 3 with the Axis, and they also begin construction of the Hornet, which is obviously a carrier, famous carrier. So we'll do that stuff, but again, most of their stuff is still off the map. There are some notes on historical shipbuilding, I believe, for winter. I guess the rest don't really happen until summer. So in 1940, there are a couple destroyers that are built, not anything important. The Brits in fall 1939 did start construction on the Formidable, but that was by default, I believe, if we look at the charts. And the Indomitable's supposed to start next turn in the spring of 40, which I believe is a really crappy carrier. It's like a light carrier. I think Formidable and Indomitable are kind of garbage in real life. They weren't great carriers. But what we're really planning ahead for here on the Axis side is eventually Barbarossa. So we want by the end of the next 4 turns to really be in position to do Barbarossa. We don't want to be preparing in spring of 41. We want to be kind of ready to go by the end of 1940, if we can. That's the goal. So the question is, what do you need to beat Russia in this game? Because obviously it's a lot of hexes. And the Russians are going to have time to massively expand their army before the war starts. They're also going to be politically active, and they have a very good supply of oil, so they can threaten encirclements and such. I don't think it's going to play like War in the East, where you can just steamroll through the front line. I think it's going to be a little harder. So the question is, how much harder? And then in the West here, we've got to deal with, the Benelux, and then France, and possibly the Scandinavian countries, although there's potential that diplomacy could solve some of that for us. So that's kind of what we're banking on, is maybe getting some diplomatic actions to help us out there. Okay, so the research phase consists of the Axis announcing and making their research die rolls. So let's go ahead and do our research here. Now, last time, what we started our projects on, let me just get there real quick. That's diplomacy, Russian research, Western research. Here we go. So we started research on I think I used the wrong sheets here. I used the global war sheets. I don't know if there's European sheets for this. Let me just quickly check that. There might be. No, okay. So there's nothing special there. Also, I was searching around the house for some tweezers, and I thought my wife might have some, but I haven't been able to find them yet. So I might end up having to pay $3 to go back get some tweezers. But that was a really good suggestion about the tweezers, because definitely the old sausages have a little trouble sometimes picking up the pieces. Yeah, I didn't write down the research results, I guess, huh? No, I just wrote them in the record sheet. Okay, so we should have 7 left after last turn, I believe, because we used 3. So what did we use them on? We used them on military training, air range, which was good. So that we got a +2 out of air range. We got +3 out of naval nationality DRM. Not sure what that was exactly. I'll have to read that again. And then we got a +2 to the training. So that gets us back to 0. So that's what we've tried so far. And I'm really still struggling to kind of understand what the quote-unquote meta is. What do you want to upgrade first? I mean, I thought the CTL thing would probably be helpful, and I really thought that air range would be useful, which, it was, but in retrospect, I could have gone without that, and I wish I had saved it. What I wish I had spent money on after the fact was, I kind of wanted the armor upgrade. So that's what I'm going to go for now. I want to get the 5/6 armor units, if I can. Although, okay, so there's a specific rule about armor. Germany may produce 5/6 armor units in the year after the outbreak of war with Russia. So I can't use those until Barbarossa. That sucks. No, I guess maybe I probably don't need them, but it still stinks. As for, I guess that's to simulate like tigers and panthers and that kind of stuff. That would be really early for mass amounts of tigers and panthers. But I guess you probably only get a division or maybe two. But still, that's kind of more than the Germans ever had in one place at one time. Until like 43. In 42, they didn't really have the super heavy tanks out on the line yet. Or if they did, they were in like weird, like fire brigade kind of, split them off, send one tiger here, one tiger there. But the Germans did a lot of that throughout the war. I've talked about this in War in the East, but the Stug is really the king of German armor, because it was everywhere. It was mass produced much more effectively than any other German tank, and it wasn't even a tank technically, but it was used in both the tank and the its actual role, which was more of an assault gun, or even an anti-tank gun. It was kind of a mix of a close support and a tank destroyer, and the Stug units were usually later in the war. They were a mix between Stugs with howitzers in them and Stugs with anti-tank guns. So they were widely used, and by the end of the war, it was kind of all they had. They had a lot of those still, but not too many of the good panzers, so to speak. Okay. So in general, I think it's probably time to get our force pool increases. So for infantry, armor, and flak force pools, for the Alliance faction, we add 5 BRPs of infantry and armor and flak in any combination to the force pools of one or more of the major powers. So you get 5 BRPs total for each result, quote unquote. And if you're going after specialized units, each result allows the Alliance faction to add one more airborne, marine, or commando into the force pool. You could also go for forts. Forts are kind of okay, but not great. We could go to ICs, industrial centers. 5 each for an IC. We can get a maximum of 2 ICs per year, but that's only Russia, I guess. We can't do that. I guess that kind of simulates moving around factories, maybe. I'm not sure exactly. We could do rockets. Don't know if it's probably blocked behind the year, 1943. So I think what we want to try to go for is a military production project that simply increases the force pool. I think that's going to be the most effective thing, and maybe will increase the Italian force pool, because Italy's going to be under heavy pressure if it doesn't go their way. So let's look at what we would need to do to get there. So for military production, It's actually grayed out. It's grayed out for 1939. I wonder why that is in the chart. Let's see if there's some rule here. See 42.332 and 42.333 for restrictions. Of course, there's restrictions to every rule in this game. Like, there's not just a rule that says, oh, this is what you need to do to build more units. Like, it's always, here, you can build more units, but you can't do it under these circumstances. It's like, why not just make the rule written in a way that says how you build more units instead of having a rule to say how and a rule to say not how? It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. I mean, these research rules in general are kind of wonky. I don't know. I mean, I guess it could be fun, but in my opinion, I could probably play this game with a simpler research force pool thing. It's not even that this is complicated, it's just gratuitous sometimes how much they separate the rules. It's like, why are the rules not just in one little block? Drives me nuts. So force pool increases may be generated either through mobilization or the investment of RPs into production. Force pool additions are announced during the unit construction phase following the results, whether or not they are constructed at that time. Each major power is limited, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so I'm not seeing the restrictions here. Why is the thing grayed out? It's saying, there's a restriction saying there's no more than 3 Italian factors that may be added per year from production. But it's not telling me that I can't research in it. That's kind of what I was expecting to see. Oh, like some rule that says, no, you can't build that master. I'm not seeing it. .332 is what I just bloody read. Am I crazy? I don't know. I think I'm doing it right. Screw it. I'm just gonna roll for it. I mean, production. Effects of general research. RP invested in production generate force pool increases without the need for a die roll. Production costs are reduced for each one general research breakthrough in the relevant category. Minimum expenditure of 1 RP is required. Interesting. I really wish they had some examples in this bloody book, because I would love to see like just a 1-year example of completed research and the effects. It's hard to learn the game when you don't have a single example. And yeah, I could probably look online for examples, but no computer, so I have to read it on my bloody phone, which could do it. I suppose I could print it out. But I'm thinking that let's just do the research die roll here. So when we're doing a die roll, the rolling player rolls 3 dice and disregards the highest and lowest. And we take the remaining die roll to return whatever research result is achieved. And then we apply +1 for each unused RP in the project, +1 for each breakthrough in the project's research category, and plus or minus any modifier from the research result for the project, indicated in square brackets. Pre-war results appear in square brackets of 1939. Only one project from each category can be selected for a research die roll each turn. So you can't make a general research and a specific research in the same category in the same turn. And only one roll per project per year. You can't re-roll the same thing next turn. So that's why I was starting to look at some other options. So different types of research results. If a result has a star by it, no further research in that project is permitted. Research tables contain the following star results. The best possible results for jets, submarines, rockets, and uranium, all the stuff that we can't do. Successful results for controlled reaction, disastrous results for jets, blah, blah, blah. Cumulative results. The effect of research in the following projects is determined by the number of successful results. I just completely forget what results we're comparing against. Oh. It's like it hasn't been that long since I did this, and I remember literally nothing. I feel like an idiot. So, I don't know. You tell me how to read this chart. It's got 22 squares going across. 1, 2, 3, 4, all the way to 22. The first few have like either a blank or a plus in it. And then the last one has breakthrough. So, what the hell do the pluses mean? It's like... what do the pluses mean? Oh, okay, plus and minus results. The plus number or minus number of a research results indicates the modifier which applies to the next roll. Oh, okay. Okay, so that makes sense. So you have to make it to a breakthrough before it does anything. I think I was doing it wrong then last turn. Yeah, I was definitely doing it wrong. I thought it was too easy. I was like, shit. I'm going to be done with all the research by the end of 1942. Okay, that makes more sense. All right, so let's get some dice out and let's do some rolling here. Do some mixed colored dice. Let's see what's on screen. Of course, Russia is on screen. That's about it. I could put it here. There we go. All right. So let's get it on flat grounds first of all. I'd like it a little bit further up. How about that? Is that pretty flat? Not really. Whatever. It'll be at the bottom of the screen. I'll read it out. Okay, so back to our record sheet quickly here. And yeah, okay. So we're going to do the Germans first. Our first one is going to be military production. And each breakthrough we get a 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm not sure what the hell that means. Really don't know why it's grayed out. You know what, maybe we should just go for a general military. Let's just go for a general result. So the code's going to be G. and the project name will just be general. Code for, okay, so we're still in 1939. Alright, let's roll our dice. Okay, so we rolled 2 5s and a 2. So we throw out the highest and lowest. That means we got a 5. It's a pretty damn good roll. So that gets us up to, for general research, it gets us up to a +4. So we'll write that down. +4. And we can only do that once per year. So it's good that we got that in there. So KS. Luckily, I did write down these things. So KS, we're up to a 0. And KS standing for Kriegspiel. We'll nod to the Kriegspiel, since we are Germans. And we are playing a war game. So, okay, now we do intelligence. Let's just do a general result because we only have one turn, so we want to do the general result. The general results have better payout overall, from what I can tell reading the book. I did read this a little bit beforehand tonight. Oh, bad roll. Okay, so we got a 1 and a 2, so that means we rolled a 1. That is not good. Not good at all. So let's see what that means. That there are possibilities where you could have a disastrous result. So if you have a 3 or less on certain ones, it will just wreck it. It'll ruin it. So that it would not be good. Not be good at all to have that happen. Okay, so intelligence, if you roll a 1, it doesn't cancel it, but it doesn't help it. Put it that way. So it does nothing, basically. It's just completely wasted roll. So we are actually allowed to do 1 project per category. So I guess the intelligence, like the general one can be Gestapo. You know, and that has no result so far, so that's still a 0. We did get the, what was that result we wrote down? +4 to this. Okay, so we could do radar. That's under atomic. Maybe we should just go for general results in air and naval. Oh, the Kaiser project, that's our nationality DRM. So we got a +3 in that. So that actually translates to a +1 because we started out with a -2. There's a bunch of categories you start the game like with a penalty on. But Kaiser is our project. That's to revive the Navy, basically. Because what we want to do is get that nationality DRM back up to at least parity with the Brits, so that we could theoretically win a battle. If we bring in our whole fleet and it's only a small task force, we could beat them. The way it is right now with that nationality DRM, it's going to be really hard to beat them. Just because we're always going to have that slight negative modifier to us. We also had Project Falcon, which had a +2, which I incorrectly interpreted as meaning I had a +2 range. All that means right now is that I had +2 to the next roll, which is going to be next turn, theoretically. All right, so now for the overall Air Force one, We'll just call it LW, just to keep things simple. We're playing against ourselves. It's the Luftwaffe. So let's roll for that. Oh, another one. I'm getting destroyed here. Just make sure that's not a critical failure. It's not, but it does nothing for us. So that's a 0. And we'll do our Navy, I guess. Oh, man. Nazis not having good luck. Turns out fascism is not a good thing. Let's see. So Navy, we're just going to go for general naval production here. And we'll just do something simple like... we'll call it Graf Spee. How about that? So the code will be Graf. So remember the Graf Spee. Okay, maybe we will not get a 1. That would be amazing. Imagine if our Navy ends up with all the good rolls and it's just totally useless. Okay, we got a 4. We rolled triples. We had all 4s. So that's something. It's not a... I think that's a +1 probably. Yep. Oh no. Oh, I take that back. It's just it's a +2. So not bad. Not bad at all. Okay. +2. All right, now we roll the Western Allies. And last time they rolled for their just general military, and they got a +2. I don't know why I'm bothering to write it in 2 places. I could really just write it in 1. Whatever. Okay, so we're going to go for military training on this one. I think the general research category, because they have a +2 in general. I'm thinking that the general research might give you a bonus on your specific roles, but I don't know if you need a breakthrough before that or not. Effects of general research. Okay, so you have to get a breakthrough. So that gives you a +1 on all research die rolls in that category. Each breakthrough also reduces the cost of force pool additions and other production projects. So, I mean, those ones are good. Are good in general. Okay. So we're going to go for military training. Oh, we got to name the project, right? We call it, I don't know. What code name should we use? Maybe, what's something, how about Project Dover, you know? I heard a really beautiful version of Cliffs of Dover last night. This guy played it like fingerstyle acoustic, and he is a monster, absolute monster. But it freaked my wife out because anytime he like screwed up, he would scream, he would go like, ah! It was hilarious. But, oh, here we go, got a good roll. So we had a 5, a 3, and a 4, so they rolled a 4. Which I think gets them a little bit of the way there. It's a +2. Now you start out with a -1 in that category, so technically they're only at a +1 total. So I will write +2 equals 0 equals 1. So just so I remember. And that category, you're kind of starting from the bottom. Okay, so we did a nationality DRM for air last time. This time let's start with air range, because we're already at a +3 for it. So I think it makes sense to just rush the air range thing. All right, what are we looking for on a roll here? So if we're at +3 now, what would we need for a breakthrough for a total? Is it possible? Oh no, you need a breakthrough of 10. So this, at best, this will give us a little bit close. So we'll need at least one more roll. But if we get 6, that'll put us right there. You know, it'll be easy. Come on, let's get a 6. Oh, brutal. A 4. 4 is still good. I can't complain with that. So that's another +2 on top of the +3. So they're actually at a 5 for next turn, which is great. That's going to get them on a good course. We'll call that one, I don't know. We'll call it Doolittle. Because what's more indicative of air range than the Doolittle rig, you know? Let's see. We got Navy up next. Our first attempt was at Project Flower, which is a nationality DRM roll. So we got up to it's a +3, so it's actually a +1. Let me just fix that. I just want to keep the same methodology. So if I'm incorporating something from pre-game, I'm going to write what I actually rolled, and then I'll write the actual current result, just so I remember. I'm going to do that for all of them. Okay, so now we're just doing general naval tech right here. And naval tech is just going to be Nimitz. Should have done it Cunningham, but I like Cunningham. Should have done King. He's the real OG. Oh my god, 111's sad. Well, that's what happens when you pick Nimitz, right? 111's. I shouldn't say that, it's blasphemy. Alright, okay, so that does it for that side. Now we can roll intelligence. Intelligence part. I think we probably want to roll a just general research roll. Just like, it'll be better to have good rolls in the future, because intelligence is going to become more valuable. I think, this is a theory, game theory here. I think intelligence is better later in the game. Potentially, because I think there's maybe more stuff you can do with it. I might be wrong on that. I probably am. Intelligence probably front loads. It's kind of how it works in Hearts of Iron. You get a lot of your best intelligence results right off the bat. You know, if you're going for a collab on Russia, you want to start that puppy early. If you're going for 2, you definitely want to start it early, you know? So, like, generally if you play the intelligence game in Hearts of Iron, you play it right from the get-go. Otherwise, you just ignore it. We'll name this one Park. And for obvious reasons, if you know anything about the war. Let's see. we get. Okay, so not terrible. We got a 3. So I think that gives us a +1. Does. Okay. Not the worst thing in the world. Cool. Cool. Now for the Russians. Soviet Russia. Okay, so last time they did just general research, kind of across the board. So we'll do military training, air nationality. Ooh, maybe air defense. They do have a nationality DRM debuff, I believe. But air defense is tasty. What do I need to get air defense? Oh, it's not too bad. You only need a 7. So I could get that pretty early. Could also go for strat bombers. Strat bombers is tempting. You need a 9 to get there. Still, with two decent rolls, you can get a 9. You know, you only need to be over average by 3. That's not terrible. Let's go for strat bombers. Let's go all in. What should the strat bombers be called? Illusion? So the code will be IL. Name it after the factory. And the man. Oof, not good. A 2. So that gives us nothing. You hate to see it. You really do. You hate to see it. Damn. Alright. Maybe training will go better. We'll call this one the Purge. Let's see if we can purge our way to victory. Okay, a 3. Maybe that's a result. It is. It's a +1. So we're back up to 0. Hell yeah. +1 equals 0. So we only have 10 more to go. Not too bad. It's gonna take forever. I was completely wrong with the research. It is not fast. It is slow as molasses. I'll be lucky to get these by 1943, the way this goes. Alright, so let's try their intelligence. We'll just do general research because we want to get that on the board early. I guess we just call it KGB, right? Unless we call it the Commissar programmers. Oh, wow. Our first 6. Yes. Something. Finally. That's really, really good for them. 6. Oops. Wrong category. Shit, was that a breakthrough? How do I know what breakthroughs are for general? I just realized that I was using the wrong column, or wrong row rather. General research. Who knows? General research. Okay, 8+ is a breakthrough, so we got to get to 8. Okay, so for a 6, it's a +5. Oh, okay. So a 2 is actually a +1. I gotta redo all of these things. Oh shit. Oh well. I think they're pretty close to the ones below them. I was reading it from the wrong line. It really screwed me up. Oops. Oopsies. Okay, so, I mean, obviously a 1 still is a 0, but I think in a couple of cases I rolled a 2. Whatever, we'll count 2s as 1s, they suck anyways. I know Nimitz, he rolled a 1. I think the rest of these are pretty accurate. Yeah, so this is the only one that, this is just a +5. Okay. Cool. All right, so we're done for now. Okay. So we're done with that part. Now we can move on to our diplomacy. So, well, first we want to place our spy rings and eliminate. So we do the spy game next, and we completely skipped this last time to our own detriment. Theoretically, you have this whole spy game. A successful espionage results permits the immediate establishment of spies. We don't have any espionage results, so nothing to worry about there. We don't have any spies. So that's for later in the war. We'll figure that out eventually. So for now, we ignore spy rings to some extent. So skip that step. Moving on. Now we do the weather die roll. Don't remember how to do the weather die roll, but I assume it's just a d6. But what chart do we roll against? Weather. So we are in the winter. Okay, so winter. Oh, we rolled a 6. Why would this have 11? Oh, it's 2d6. Oops. We'll cancel that 6. Reroll. Oh my god. Rolled a 12. Armor units are treated as infantry. Oh my goodness. Oh my god. Wow. Holy crap. This is literally General Winter right now. Holy cow. Did I? Oh my god. Am I gonna? Did I do that right? If there's actually, oh my god. That is the stupidest roll I've ever done if that's the case. Holy crap. So each level of winter affects all of the lower results as well. Winter preparation. Russia, Finland, Sweden all have a 6. Everyone else has 0. A winter die roll is made at the beginning of every winter game turn in Europe to determine the weather conditions. Oh, it affects Eastern Front hexes east of the Nazi-Soviet pact line and in Finland. A separate winter die roll is made at the beginning of every fall and winter turn in the Pacific, blah, blah, blah. Who cares about Pacific? We're not playing that right now. So what is a winter die roll? Well, whatever. We're getting the max. I mean, we rolled double 6s. We're getting the max. Screw it. No, we're taking the whole table. Taking all the effects. This winter war is going to be absolute hell, and I cannot wait. I want to just walk through the snow. I'll have to get out some cotton balls and just snow everywhere. Soviets aren't going anywhere. It's going to be absolute torture. I love it. Okay, so weather die rolls done. Ultra and magic card draws. We didn't do this last time either, because I thought if you didn't research it, you didn't get it. And I don't know for sure if that is right. So I'm gonna read that right now. I'm feeling like it is right, but I might be completely wrong about that. Who knows? Ultra, 48.12. Mechanics. European access, Japanese, British, and American code breaking ability is determined at the start of every game. We have a distinct pool of ultra cards, and the Japanese and Americans have a distinct pool of magic. Each turn at the end of the research phase, players draw 4 ultra cards from their respective ultra pools, and then the Americans start doing that when they declare war. Oh, and you can play them whenever you want. Oh, yeah, I definitely should have done this. Let me get the cards out. Or his opponent's turn. Interesting. So we actually have to flip them both then. We're going to have to flip them both because we need to know the British ones during the... Okay, so we got a blank, a strategic, a tactical, and a submarine warfare one. So I assume blank does nothing. Blanks have no effect when drawn, so Nazis not doing good on their luck. So we only have 3 for the access. Okay, so put the Nazi ones over there, and then we'll take a look at the Brits. Ooh, double blank and double strategic. So we got 2 blanks and 2 strategics. So the strategic cards permit 1 additional die roll to be rolled for naval interceptions, and they increase or decrease raider die rolls by 1. Cool. Oh, that's a really good card if you need to intercept something. Now we have tactical and a submarine warfare as well. Submarine warfare increases the effectiveness of submarine warfare in the strategic warfare box or onboard submarine attacks. Fortunately, we lost our sub last turn, so yeah, they don't have that one. That sucks. So not going to be able to do too much with that. Tactical cards allow search chances for naval combat rounds, and they increase the nationality DRM for a fleet combat in 1 naval combat round, or for 1 onboard submarine attack, or they can modify a harbor attack. Interesting. Very interesting. That's kind of cool. It would be cooler if I had a fleet to work with. I think those cards would be amazing if we were on the opposing side. If these roles were flipped, like if the strategic cards had been pulled by the European axis and the tactical and sub ones had been pulled by Britain, it would have been really cool. But as it stands, they're not super useful. So I guess it is what it is, but it could definitely be more useful. All right, and now we will deploy all of our units, because I think that's where we are. Because the card draws are the last part of the pre-player turn phase of the game turn. So you do A, B, C, and then you start with the Axis player turn. So the player turn starts with the diplomatic phase. So we want to make sure that we first do our deployments, I think. Yeah, I think we want to do that first, right? It's not on this, but it is on the one of the other ones. Yeah, so I'll just deploy. And I think in the future turns, I'm just going to deploy as soon as I build. You know what? It's just simpler. I think it makes sense that you would deploy them immediately. So now deployment rules are such that you can only deploy in Germany. So we're gonna deploy everything here and then we will come back to it. So we can only do 10 factors on each airfield. I believe that's the rule. And then we'll put these here for now, the 2 tanks that we built. Not sure where they're gonna go quite yet. We've got a whole bunch of Italians finally coming in. So they're gonna actually have to risk shipping those, I believe. So that's gonna be interesting. What do we want to ship down? At least 1 infantry and maybe 2 infantry if we can. And then the rest of the infantry will be, you know, defending the homeland here, especially the port. It's just gonna stack right under the port. These planes still have room in this airport. Where else could we go? Naples. We just kind of want to make sure we have Rome at least defended. Still have room there, I think. Yeah. All right. So that's looking good. Looking good. We will deploy our Brits. Now we can finally have actual units in England. We didn't before. That's a little scary, but nothing happened, so we survived. Just kind of guarding London and some of these other BRP locations. I'm just gonna illegally stack them up here for now. Oh, actually I'll just move that airfield for a minute. We are going to eventually be able to redeploy that when their turn happens. And then the French are pretty much going to defend Paris because Paris had pretty weak defenses, to be honest. So Paris is now going to have the strongest defenses it possibly can have, which is 2 tanks guarding it. And that's what we want to make sure we absolutely protect that. We also want to protect the hex directly to the south of it because as we found out in our last turn, those are the scary hexes, the ones that are weak to that kind of attack. And we also want to defend the hex to the north of it, just to make sure that they can't easily cross and then attack from the north, because that's also a very weak area. As we become under threat, hopefully we'll have some units to put in the more southern regions, because we would have 2 hexes to guard, but we have got, you know, we've got like 8 divisions easily that might fall in that direction. If not 10. So between 10 divisions, I think we could probably get some sort of defense in depth strategy going in that area. If the Italians break through, they're probably pretty screwed, but that's a pretty easily defensible terrain, to be honest. I'm not too concerned with it. They are going to flip-flop. I realized I put a stronger unit on top here in the Alps, and that's definitely not necessary because you get a bit of a bonus from the mountains when you're defending. I didn't realize that. But that's kind of the direction they're going. Okay, so we'll try to just grind through the diplomacy and then call it a video. Diplomacy stuff and the research stuff is time consuming when you're first learning it, but I think as time goes on, it'll kind of create a bit of a meta that we can follow, a recipe, so to speak, and then we won't have to worry about it. Alternatively, we could just use the historical results of what we're going to do here. I think we probably want to just maybe roll for the French. Try for an easy French surrender die roll. Kind of makes sense at this period of the war. We're really targeting France. So we got 5 DPs. So let's just put all 5 in France. Screw it. So 5 access. It kind of forces the Allied powers to use theirs in the same place, you know? Even though they might not want to do that. Yeah, so they would get 5 as well. They could just negate it. So maybe they'll just do that. 5 access, 5 ally. So that just kind of negates it. That's easy peasy this turn, you know. Basically no diplomacy, it's just negotiating over France. We'll have to take it the old-fashioned way, I think. I mean, that would be the meta, right? You would just turn around and do the exact same thing if you were gaming it out. All right, so we made it through the first part of the turn. Not a lot of excitement, just a lot of blabbing, rolling dice. Before I sign off here, I will deploy the Russian units in preparation for the Winter War, which we are now going to be severely screwed on because of the ridiculous winter die roll that I got, just absolutely crippling our offensive power. I don't know what they're going to do. I guess try to roll in some bloody infantry and pray. I don't know. But set them up anyways. Don't know what they're going to do. I'll deploy the Finns while I'm at it. Finns do have a fairly sizable army, actually, for what they are. And basically, we're just going to deploy the Finns right on the bloody border. Dare them to come in. Where do we want to put the Air Force, though? That's the question. We want to be able to reach any spot. So, let's say there. Let's get a Finn there, Where's the rest of the Finns? Right here. That is a long line, though. I don't know. Maybe we want to take advantage of the fact that they are going to struggle to do much and let them go north. Let them screw themselves in the north and just wall up the south. Should at least defend Helsinki with one unit just to avoid naval invasions. Yeah, maybe we'll do it that way. Yeah. All right, so the Finns are set up. I already deployed the Benelux last time because we are going to declare war on the Benelux this turn. I want to test the early war strategy, just trying to all in for the weak countries, see what we can do. Just try to break down the walls early so we have the full length of the line. Because we're not going to need much to take out Denmark. We could commit like one division and do it. But the rest of the world needs a lot of focus. I think actually Denmark might auto surrender. I gotta read that rule, but we'll get to that next time. So next time, war is going to be declared on the Benelux, Denmark, and we're just trying to scoop up as much cheap BRP stuff as we can early on in hopes that we can get a higher construction limit for next turn. It is prorated this turn, but next turn we'll be getting the full year start sequence. So we want to have as many BRPs under our belt for that as possible, because that's when you get the best bang for your buck. So that's what we're looking for. Well, really sorry that the camera work in this one was dull, but hoping to have the computer back online sooner rather than later, which will enable me to do fancier editing, maybe some more graphics for a game like this. It'll just make everything a lot easier. So hopefully the video quality will start to increase with not just a return to playing computer games, but for the board games as well. I think it'll be better when I can actually edit videos not on my phone. So until next time, see you later.